Hi, Steve Von Brand here for the Bass College. We've certainly had a strange spring, haven't we? It's been 70 and 80 degrees every day for 3-4 weeks in a row, and then a week goes by, it's 30 degrees. Highs of 45 and 50 in the day with 40-mile-an-hour winds. Drove the bass out of the shallows. Who knows what it did to the beds, but we'll see. They're very resilient. It's nature. It's happened before. It'll happen again, I'm sure. So we're going to go out there and see what we can do today. We're going to start off with a chatterbait, Z-Man original chatterbait. I'm throwing that on the Shimano Chronarch and the St. Croix Mojo bass rod. I like that for that. We've got on 16-pound test Sunline. We're going to throw some Assassinator spinnerbaits. So we're going to throw dirty jigs with Grandy Bass Mega Claws trailer on the back. I've got it in like a summer crawl color, a couple different colors. I've got a couple of them rigged. Checked out the watercolor. It's settled down a little bit. The winds have stopped churning it up. So we're going to get out there. We're going to start in some of the back coves here. I see a little bit of activity on the surface, which is good. It's the first time I've seen that, even though it was a real cold night last night. And we'll see what happens. So we'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, there we go. There's my 7-pounder. Right in the same area they were in last year. Dirty jigs. And I've got a Grandy Bass Mega Claws on the back of it. This is a completely different color. I've gone with this bluegill with the Alabama crawl on the back. Really, really nice bass. Check that out. Look at the belly on it, filled with eggs. Water temperature 56.9 degrees. Right over here on the North Shore. Drops off from about 1 foot to 7 feet. Rocks and sand right near the docks. Beautiful, beautiful bass. Look at that. Grandy Bass and dirty jigs, man. Flipped it in, just shook it a little bit. I put the red rattles on it. Nice. All right. Look at that. Decent, huh? All right. Let's get this one back in. Let's get some more. All right. Decent bass, man. In fact, I think I'll weigh this one up and see what that is. Not as big as I thought, but 6.4. There's some bigger ones than that in here. Let's get this back. There we go. Oh, yes. Some tension off of this. Once again on the dirty jig, I came across this North Shore that's really getting colder. I had to put my jacket on here. And, oh boy, it's a big one. Flipping all around. He's really hooked good too. There he is. Same thing on my dirty jigs with the Grandy Bass Mega Claws trailer. With a little Mega Strike on it. Nice, nice bass. Good hefty bass. Filled with eggs. They're not on beds. None of them are. People are in here working the shallows up in the pads where they were. I know they've seen the videos, and the bass just aren't in there at all. They're up here on these rocks on the North Shore, right on the drop-offs. They're coming up shallow, but then they're right near deep water on the first drop, just where I thought they'd be, and they're hitting that jig real slow. Nice. See that? Decent, huh? Oh, it really got cold. Temperature dropped real quick when those clouds went in and that breeze came up, but let's get this one in. Let's try and get some more here. I'll tell you, this really couldn't be much harder. I have on a 7-foot medium heavy action St. Croix Legend Elite. It's a $400 rod. I've got on 65-pound test Sunline FX2 braid, and I couldn't even feel either of those fish that you saw me catch. And you don't see it on camera. I had the camera off. I threw back in not even another 10 feet down after the last one. Hooked another one that was a good 4.5 pounds. Had it right next to the boat. Couldn't control the trolling motor. I reached for it to turn it on, let that tension off just for a second. He got off, even though, you know, it was hooked pretty good. So it just shows you. I mean, you've got to really apply pressure to them the whole time. But I couldn't feel any of those fish at all. You had to actually watch that line. You threw it in, it sunk. Hopped it a couple times, shook it, and as it started to fall, the line was just gone. Yeah, if you weren't a line watcher, you wouldn't have caught any of those fish that I just caught at all. You wouldn't even have known they were on. They'd have run. You'd have said, "Wow, what's this?" And you'd have probably lost them. Maybe hooked them, maybe not. But the point was, with a rod even this sensitive and with braid on, you could not feel a thing. And I had my hand right up on the exposed blank, up on the end. Could not feel it strike. You had to be a line watcher or you couldn't have caught those fish. They're up on this shelf. It's only about a foot, and then 2 feet, and then 3 feet, but it drops right off to 7. They're up on this shelf on the north shore. They're getting ready to make beds. They're not on beds, but these fish are moving in. They're all loaded with eggs. There we go. Another one came off the corner of the seawall on the rock. Same thing, dirty jig, Grundy Bass Mega Claws trailer. I had 2 others hooked back in the other back cove. I don't know what happened. They were on, set to hook. You could feel the weight, 4 or 5 pounds. Fought for a minute, got off. It's not the jig, that's for sure, but there's another buck bass there. It's really cold. Going back into the pads at the very back of our spawning cove. Check it out. I've been throwing a swim jig, rattle trap, crankbait. I picked up my Assassinator spinnerbait in black, copper and nickel blades. Picking up buck bass. Caught 4 or 5 of them like this. Just pound, 3/4 of a pound back here. So, okay, that's a little better. Man, hooked him right in the top of the mouth. Boy, that fat, filled with eggs. Dirty jig, same thing. I've thrown every bait today. I've thrown rattle traps, a couple different colors. I've thrown a couple different chatterbaits. I've thrown a couple different crankbaits. 2 different spinnerbaits, caught a couple of the buck bass that you saw on the spinnerbait. But man, the only thing they really wanted, and all the bigger bass and the most aggressive fish, hit the dirty jig with the Grundy Bass Mega Claws trailer on the back. Nice, nice bass. All right, let's get another one. Let's get another one and get out of here, getting in the trees. Well, it's 2 o'clock. It's time to get out of here. It's gonna rain any minute. Got a front coming through again. Tell you, none of the fish that I caught today were like aggressive pre-spawn fish. You could, like I said, you could barely even feel them hit this jig. If you weren't watching the line, you hadn't done this a million times and just known the difference, you wouldn't even have known they were on there. Very, very, very light hits, just unaggressive, but they were big. Now, if I had landed the other 2 fish that I lost, which is something you don't see me do too much if you watch any of the videos, I'd have had 5 fish that weighed 25 pounds. But as it is, because I lost them, I've got 5 fish that weigh like 15. So anyway, I got to get out of here, so let this front pass, let the weather change. Next week's going to be in the 70s. That should change everything. And I'll see you then down on the water.